If you want to make sure you stay in good conversation, you gotta tune in to Coffee and Conversation with Collette. That's me, Thursday mornings from 7 a.m. to 8 a.m. on the only station, WHPR TV 33. See you soon. We're back. We're back. You're into the second hour of Coffee and Conversation with Colette. I gotta make sure I stay in great company, so I'm so happy that you are with us. Whether it is TV 33 or Comcast or Roku or streaming live, thank you so much. I know a lot of you have gotten the young ones off to school and you're getting ready for work and all those other things that you do just in the day-to-day livelihood. I wanted to bring something out here, and of course, callers, I see you. I'm going to get to the lines momentarily. But I was just thinking about it, talking about these natural disasters, talking about this hurricane component. Last week, there was a whole lot of conversation about Lakewood Church. Lakewood Church and Joel Osteen, and there was the media saying that he didn't open up the doors of the church to the people, and based on how many people he serves, how could he do that? And so in my conversation, I was thinking, is he the only church in Texas? Or the perception that his church, everybody else's church was devastated, and so his church is the only church where the expectation was that he was supposed to open his doors to help the community and the people that he shepherds. Did you think about that? Did you think about, in the midst of everything that was going on, because there were tons of communities, there were tons of areas that weren't hit as hard. They got rain, but they didn't flood. Did you think about those doors that should have been open to the people of the community? And I know that the media doesn't show everything, and I get that. I mean, that's not necessarily the role. That doesn't make for good TV. But did you question, were there people who were actively opening up their doors to be able to provide shelter, comfort to the people of the community, whether they were part of your congregation or not? And then I'm going to take it one step further. In our everyday dynamics, do we open our church doors? We had our children getting ready to go back to school. Everyone should be back in school right now. Did every church across this great city of Detroit do a special offering and do a back to school drive? And I'm not saying where you had to give the money to the parent, but did you do a back to school drive where you had secured enough vouchers for young people in their uniforms? If you had secured some vouchers for children who aren't in uniforms, that they could go to a store to get the items that they need? Did you buy backpacks and school supplies to be able to give to the children in preparation for them having a successful school year? Because I didn't see a lot of that. And I know a lot of folks don't do things to get notoriety, but I know that if I can ride down these streets of this great city of Detroit and see a church almost on every corner, that we should not have any children without supplies going back to school. We shouldn't have any children without adequate haircuts going back to school. Young ladies with a nice hairdo going back to school. We have enough stewards and entrepreneurs in our churches to be able to meet those needs. But did that happen? And I know a lot of people will say, well, Collette, that's not fair because that might not be the pastor's vision. But I thought the pastor's vision has to put into consideration the people's needs. So when do the two meet? Because if I say I shepherd you, and if I say that I am here to make your life better through the word of God, it is a giving that's supposed to help enrich your life. So I want to know if you all know of some churches who did that. And I know the New Nation of Islam did it a couple of weeks ago. Didn't have fanfare, gave backpacks, back to school supplies. Not with the big to do, but they did it. Because that's what the expectation is. That if you are who you say you are, it is just the natural inclination to give. I wonder if you thought about that. I wonder, in the midst of everything that's happening in Texas, and you saw the elected officials stand up and say, this is what my community needs. Congress, I need you to figure out how to cut a check. What happened with our elected officials for this state of Michigan and specific to the region of Flint, especially in Washington, in the championing of securing monies to make Flint whole? It is still not made whole. But maybe it's okay if the devastation goes to people of color or of lesser means. Maybe that's okay for us. So we don't have to sit and ask and be forceful about it because it's okay. They're considered surplus labor. So, okay, if they're still using bottled water, okay. If the pipes haven't still been fixed, okay. You know, there's a life cycle with news. So a good 6 months maybe, depending on how hot the topic is, and they'll pound it and pound it and pound it, and then that goes away. It's the next new item. It's the next hot topic. But do you realize in that people are still living? People are still struggling. People are still needing the resources to make it better for them in their day to day. But maybe we're remiss with that because maybe we don't expect that. We expect all the wrong things. So it seems like the people that try to help us, the people who are availing themselves to us, the people who are trying to give us some direction, we fight them. It's interesting. We don't fight them because they don't have a plan. We don't fight them because we say that we don't agree with what they're suggesting for us. We fight them just because they say it, just because they had the idea. So first we say that we need a plan, and people didn't present to us a plan. And then when they present a plan, we don't like it. And we get an attitude about the plan because then we say that our plans were better and we could do better, and that's what it is. But you didn't have a plan to begin with. So no one's arguing about the content of the plan. You're arguing about who wrote the plan and gave it. Maybe that's the same issue that you have with the Son of Man. When you call into this show, no one argues about the context of the Bible or the context of the Quran. You argue because you don't like what he said. You argue because you say he's not who he says he is. But is that the conversation that we really need to be having? Are we so confrontational with the people who bring the messenger? What do they always say? Get the message, don't shoot they shoot the messenger, but get the message. However that goes. And in the midst of all that, we still are holding our people accountable who don't care about us. Our government is in a disarray. Back in when I was 15, 16, we started reading Megatrends. I don't know if y'all are familiar with Megatrends, but the first book was Megatrends, then Megatrends 2000, then Megatrends Asia. You know, my dad was reading these books, and it talked about the change of the world when the world comes to an end, that it is not the literal sense, it is the world order. How we are governed. People are going to think that we're in a nomadic state because of the disproportions of wealth and the living in societies, and that's what's happening now. But we don't have those conversations because the truth is I don't believe that we really want to understand it. We don't really want to understand it because if we really understood it, then the people that dangle the carrots in front of us, these little bits of appeasement, these little simple conversations, what we think are these little protests, it wouldn't be the issue for us. We would talk about actively, collectively doing something together, actively doing something that's going to benefit us aside from what they say. It won't make a difference. It won't matter who's in office. Because what I say and the plan that I have, you'll either acquiesce to what I say or you'll be removed. That's how this thing works if people understood their power. But maybe that's it in a nutshell. We don't understand our power. We weren't taught to understand our power. Because if you understood your power, then people couldn't control you. So I'll take it to another level, and then I'm going to go to the lines. I'll take it to the fact of government. Everyone wants to talk about us spending these billions of dollars on war, and we're getting these troops, and we're sending our soldiers, a lot of them to their deaths when some atrocity happens or even just a fluke that happens. But did anyone question why we're even over there in the first place? We're this national power, and we're constantly putting our nose in other people's business. But did you think that the reason is why we have a vested interest? And so America has to protect her interest. So then when we are in the United States side and we're in communities that America, the government hasn't come in to save, that it's not a vested interest. So it's not a vested interest in Chicago if you shoot up each other and you kill each other and gang violence and turf issues. I don't have an interest in that. You're disposable people, so you can kill yourselves. I don't have to fix that because you'll fix yourselves. Maybe the issue is that no one has come to confront the Son of Man because they know that black folks ain't going to follow him. Because we're going to have a problem with believing who he says he is versus getting what it is that he's saying. So I don't have to fight them because they ain't going to listen to that. The education system doesn't have to be better for us. I don't have to come in and say that. Why? Because all I need them to do is move to the prison. It's the prison pipeline. So if you can't read, I'm not teaching you phonetics, so you're not going to be able to read by the third grade. You're going to be disenchanted and unengaged. And so then you'll fall off. You'll sit up because I gave you an option to drop out of school. I don't even understand where that option even came from. But I'm going to create a legislation that you can drop out of school. And then what do? You'll do nothing. And because you'll need a means and you'll do something to get within the system, and then I'll just put you in my prison pipeline. I'll give you it easily. I saw there was an article, a gentleman in Pontiac, I believe, who was facing 50 years for 40 years from stealing, was it $50 worth of candy? I'll give you those kinds of sentences and just put you out of this society and put you in my own society. I'll take people that could be of leadership to you and I will change your mindset on them. And so you will sit up and be okay with them getting 28 years. I don't understand why you all are okay with Kwame Kilpatrick getting 28 years in prison. I don't understand that. I don't even understand that. And we'll sit and we're okay with that and we'll champion that and we'll help give, if we could help him get further time. But those who are crooks and thieves and actively show us day to day that are taking money from the taxpayers, we don't say anything about it. And we don't push for justice against them. So maybe it's all because I don't even know. Maybe you have the answers. So that's enough for me. I'm going to go to the line and see what you have to say. Thanks for your patience. Great morning to you.
Yes, good morning.
Good morning.
Yeah, language is the application or the expression of the mind.
Okay.
I could never know what an individual was thinking inside his head until he started talking.
Mm-hmm.
And when he started talking, I can know whether he's focused or he's got a lot of questions and he's unfocused.
Okay.
That is the inner person. Some people call that the inner man. That is nothing but the mind having a relationship with the objective world. And a lot of time in the objective world, the sensations are so many that the mind cannot focus and bring it into tune.
Okay.
So only way I can know what a person is thinking is how when they start talking.
Yes.
But let me say this.
Yes.
When you dialogue, don't necessarily mean you agree. Sometimes dialogues are polemics, where you disagree and you air it out.
Yes.
And then the third part is hearing those disagreements. That's how they learn, and that's how they organize in society and say, well, I'm with that person and not with this person. But if you hang up, you're not really having a dialogue.
Yes.
That's what you said is fighting the person and not the content of what they're saying.
Okay.
So I heard you say that about being positive in the mind is not to look at a situation, but you can overcome them yourself. Well, I disagree with that.
Okay.
Because I do know that once they had the 1965 Immigration and Nationality Act, they brought in immigrants in the black community in Detroit. Most people was working in service jobs in Detroit were black in 63. But when they brought them, the immigrants in, and the Small Business Administration financed them, they didn't just finance them to own the stores, but they allowed them to bring in their workforce. And no matter what I thought individually, that objective reality overruled the inner person in me. And
Well,
the
wait,
only way
stay
that
right
we
there.
could
So I have a
fight it,
question. Stay right there. So when the laws happened and created a different opportunity for another group of people, then what did you do?
see, that's where you're wrong. It's not what do you do.
No, no,
That's
no, no, no,
I,
no,
me,
no.
and my
No, no.
approach.
Based off of your statement and what you saw and believed to be a factual situation that was put into these black communities within this city, and you saw that, then what did you do? Because you're giving a
Oh, okay,
position
I got you.
based on what you saw. So,
I
based
got
on
you.
what you saw,
Well,
what did you do?
in '97, I came on 33. And when I came on 33, I was talking to former JD Hill,
Yes.
and I told him because he thought that they came in individually with money. I told him no, the Small Business Administration financed these immigrants in Detroit, and like they're doing all over the country. And the only way we could overcome it, that we would have to fight the policy of the government and make the government pay us for using our tax money to bring in somebody. So that's how I went to fight it, but it was never successful because most of the people here thought about the situation as I, me, and my, and did not accept my research, and so therefore they was left alone and to continue to operate in this city. And because we looked at things that I, me, and my, and thought that they created it by individually when they was financed by the government. So that's what I done. But I know I can't do nothing by myself. Cause it's no matter what I think, they brought the workforce in here and they dominated it right now and have a monopoly in our community. And I see the same thing downtown. I see that the city council let people come in with their own workforce and not an application for young people like you. Instead of saying you can't come in and bring your own workforce because you're using our police department, you're using our utilities, you're using our roads that the people of Detroit paid for. So you cannot come in like the Arabs did and bring your workforce and then say that there's increase in employment.
Okay.
When I go downtown, I'm seeing nothing but white coming from the suburbs working. So, but that I'm an individual. So when I bring that to you, then when I hear people talking about what they could do as an individual facing those type of collective policies, I disagree with you and anyone that spouts I, me, and my to get out this. It's got to be we and us, and that's where me and you
gotcha.
disagree
And
with.
so stay right there. Because what I believe that you're saying is a contradiction, and this is why I believe that's what it is. What did you just say? You took your individual thought and based on the statistics and what you believed and saw as facts in a community, brought it to a group. And you presented it to them and then suggested a collective movement to create action that would change the dynamic. That group didn't agree with you, but you knew and had a different thought that could change the situation for them. Based on that scenario, you just needed a group to have a massive change. If you wanted to do something different that was going to change where you were, you could have done that just for you because you had the information and a plan. So you moved on it. You didn't have the group of people because what you were addressing was a collective. But you yourself could have said, you know what? This is not the area that I need to do this in, so I might need to go someplace else. I might need to look at it someplace else or find someone else to be in partnership with based on that scenario. But you, again, took the information, wasn't defeated by what you saw, but created a plan from it. You just didn't have the group to be able to be supportive. So it was the individual took the information, you thought through, created a plan. You didn't have the group to agree.
I
That was your
agree.
individual. So you
You're
took your
100% right.
individual and you couldn't impose it on the we because you were dealing with people who, again, took an insult to how you presented it. Brother Tyrone, I believe that you're one of the most brilliant people I've ever met. I remember sitting in on meetings at the Change Age Consortium and listened to you. I've followed you. I've heard about you for years. The problem that I believe, just like so many people have in this station, is that they shoot the messenger because of how you present things and don't listen to it. I listen to what you say. You're passionate about what you say. All I'm saying is that I understand what you're saying, and I believe you were so progressive in a time that people couldn't accept that from you. So what did they do? Well, Tyrone thinks he this. Oh, well, Tyrone is that. Oh, Tyrone can't come on my show, and Tyrone. But you all just didn't like the way he said it. But listen to what he said. And so you didn't have the support then because you were dealing with a group of people that, like you have shared with us, that was in a class. If they had it, I don't have to go back and help you. If I'm this elite group and I already have access, I don't have to sit and help the rest of those. So you have been a diligent ambassador in trying to support the position based on the statistics and actually has shown it as fact when it manifests itself in the funding for certain groups, in the development of certain
You
groups.
spoke a lot. I'm going to hang up and just see what everybody else thinking.
Absolutely.
And, I thank you now for the dialogue.
Absolutely, Brother Tyrone. I mean, I want you all to get that. I've had people tell me, oh, you shouldn't let Brother Tyrone call your show. Brother Tyrone want to take over your show. Brother Tyrone should call and get his own show. That's not what this is about. I believe that Brother Tyrone is one of the most learned men, whether it is academically, life, self-taught, whatever the case may be. But again, that's our problem. That's where we are always, because we shoot the messenger and don't get the message. Brother Tyrone, I get you. I hear what you say. I don't take offense if you say you don't agree, but in my thinking, my understanding is that you are sincere in your intent. So I'm not going to allow our discourse to take us off the path that we're both trying to make it better for our community. I'm just saying to you that, Brother Tyrone, based off of what you know in this time, there are people like me who will listen to you. There are people like me who will take that information that you have and work to create a group of people where we can actively move to create something that is different for us because you have the information. Knowledge is power with action. So I want everyone to understand that. That's what this whole thing is about. If you're trying to be better, I won't ever think about what you say in a malicious way. I won't ever think about, oh, you trying to take over, you trying to do this. I appreciate the fact that you care enough to call in and share because you believe that it's going to be received. And if I say I disagree, I'm going to tell you why I disagree with how it was presented. I don't disagree with what you say because I understand statistics and facts and I understand the lay of the land and where we are. And I'm more passionate probably in our conversations because I never want you to feel defeated. I don't ever want you to feel that the 30 and 40 years that you have been a steward on the lines for this community and giving us information, that it has consistently fallen on deaf ears. That is never what I want for you. I respect you. I respect your creative mind and your being ahead of your time in the 60s and 70s in a time when we weren't even clear that we were who we are as Americans. So I want you all to know that. I mean, that's the essence of the conversations that we have. I get you. I get you if you don't even know that I get you. I get you. And I know that together we can be better if we just understand that we get each other. Everyone is saying we're fighting for position. I'm fighting to be heard. I hear you. I hear you. We're on the same team. I hear you. I hear you. All right? I hear you. Let me go to the line. Thanks for your patience. Great morning to you. Are you there? Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning, Collette. I give you life.
Good morning. How are you?
Hi. I'm chiming in. I did see a couple of groups. The sororities were given backpacks. Bishop Ellis. It was going on throughout the different communities.
Okay.
I did see a lot of people giving back to the children.
Okay. I mean, that's important.
So
Is
what
not.
I do like to
I'm sorry.
well, what I like to do is when I was buying school stuff, I would buy extra. For those who have more, I feel like we should do more. So that way we can uplift in our own individual collective versus waiting on someone to do a backpack drive. It's a lot you can do from inside of your home.
Yes. Yes. And so, question: why do you think that we don't think that way?
Like you said, we weren't taught that way. But you have to be the change. You can't wait on somebody else to tell you what to do.
Right. Right. Because we'll consistently be without. Absolutely. And that you should be enough to be that example that I just want to say, well, guess what? Even if I didn't think it, I saw her do it. Wasn't that nice that on that block I saw her come out with these children and say who needs what and be able to give it as an example coming out of our household? It, like you said, it's the simple things. We have to stop looking and waiting for people to save us. There has to be some ownership for who we are and where we are. I appreciate your call.
That is so great. And also with the Flint thing,
Yes.
if we would stop them from paying the municipalities and everything, see, the dollar is still floating in Flint. So that's why it's out of sight and out of mind. But if the black dollar would stay there
Yes.
and we freeze that black dollar, oh, we would make national news.
Yes. And so, question, and why do you think? I mean, I thought, didn't we all understand that the success of the boycott, the bus boycott, the Montgomery boycott, was the removal of the revenue? And if everyone constantly uses that as a model, why don't you think that we are at the point where we just do it again?
We're afraid.
What are we afraid of? Well, I mean, like we're dealing with people, specifically with Flint, who don't have clean water. What else could happen to you? What else do we think is going to happen?
Well, you know that invisible they word. Well, they not going to let you do that. They not going to let you do this. They're afraid of the little bit of power that they think they have is going to go away when they don't know the power lies within them. They can work together.
Yes. Great. And you make a great point. And I'd love to know anyone who's in Flint, because I know we're in Flint, and Flint area residents watch this station, and folks from Flint, and Dr. Lee Bell was calling in. I wonder, great point, that where is the leadership now in Flint? So did the Congress of Black Pastors and all those folks get to, I mean, everybody was together and hosting all these big figures that came in for these town halls and all this other kind of stuff. But where are we now in the politics of the region? Are we still having the conversations on Sunday that God's going to provide and then that's it, and then we get in the car and drive away? Are they still lobbying for a change? Are they still having the conversations to talk about how to change the resources? If we know that this government is about to shell out the millions to equal a billion for Texas, why couldn't we fix Flint?
That is a great question. What you say, $1 million question. And we need to delve deep. Instead of looking at some stuff far away, we need to focus in on your own state and your own environment. That's our problem, too.
Yes, absolutely. Great point. So what is it about us that we, like you said, we won't even look right outside the door and say, okay, what's happening right around me? Like, there are injustices right around me. I got chaos right around me. I have disaster right around me. We can even just talk about the housing real quick. Like, how was it okay for everyone that when individuals were losing their homes to foreclosure, when the economy changed and the policy around taxes didn't equate to the actual value of the house, and for 4 and 5 years people were losing properties because they couldn't pay the taxes that were based on a false value of a home, and it wasn't an uproar about that? Did anyone understand that if I, at a time when my house was worth $200,000 and I'm paying $6,000 for taxes, and when it dropped down to $10,000 for the property and I'm still at $6,000 for taxes, that didn't even make sense? And so how would you expect me, if I have no value in my home, to be able to pay $6,000 for taxes for my home? We didn't do anything about
Exactly.
that.
I feel exactly the same way. But like you said, the knowledge. We're not reading. Most people don't even know that your mortgage gets sold from mortgage company to mortgage company. We're not taught the financial literacy. We're taught to worry about it when it happens. We don't prepare.
Wow. She couldn't have said it any better, you guys. We don't prepare. So everything around us, I mean, we get warning signs upon warning signs. I guess I can't get away from the whole notion, the concept of Noah building the ark. You get the warning signs. We have warning signs to be able to save yourselves. And we just consistently, oh, that's not for me. Oh, it's not going to hit me. Statistics, what do they say? Now to sound like Brother Tyrone. Statistics say that most households are what, 1, 2 paychecks away from being homeless. If you just had one hit, if one thing is so if we don't realize the man-made disasters that we live in every day, let's look at a natural disaster. If we had one hit like Hurricane Harvey in this region, we'd be wiped out. What would we do? So
Gone.
then we're sitting there like, okay, what do we do? What you don't have any resources. What are we gonna do then? So is that what it is? We have to have something that is that devastating to wake us up. I thought our everyday lives or struggle would be devastating enough. I thought that our students not having proper education would be devastated enough. I thought the simple fact that we can't have city services where our streets are paved, where our trash is picked up, where the grass is cut would be enough. But maybe it's just not those things we just feel that maybe we're just not worthy of that. We're not worthy to have paved streets. We're not worthy to have the grass cut. We're not worthy to have equal opportunity of access because we stop ourselves from doing things. We stop ourselves from going downtown. We stop ourselves from we. I don't even understand it. Maybe that's that wall in our minds that says we can't do that. It goes back to your point about they. So they won't let us. So they won't let us be a part of their world that we so diligently fight to be a part of, but then we won't enhance our own worlds. We had it. We had our own communities where we didn't value to have to go to assimilate into theirs. We were at a point where our ice was as cold, our schools were as great, our housing was as good. We had grocery stores, we met all of our own needs, and we were self contained, and it was good. But then something happened along the way. And I just wonder if we're ever going to get back to a point where we realize that we can be better. Or maybe that's just the part of this whole new world order. And they'll just sweep us up under the rug. And so we'll just be the has-beens. It'll be that group of people. That's just who they are. And then that'll be it. And that's just how we'll live our lives for the rest of our lives. I so appreciate your call. Thank you so much.
Thank you so
Thank
much.
you. I mean, everyone, at the end of the day, that's what I'm suggesting that we ask ourselves. In the review of everything around us, where are we? I'm going to go to the line. Thanks for your patience. Great morning to you. Are
Good
you there?
morning, Collette.
Good morning.
I want to thank you for allowing people to call and express their opinions, their knowledge, or whatever, because my mother used to always teach us as children, just sit back, watch and listen. You can learn a lot. That you can use, you keep. That you can't use, you throw it out.
Right.
So I love listening to your show every week because you allow people to speak.
Oh,
And Tyrone is a brilliant man.
yes.
And I enjoy listening to him. I learn a lot.
Yes.
And when it came to that mortgage thing you just mentioned, there was a man that used to come on here named Ron March.
Okay.
And he spoke about how your mortgage gets sold over and over and over.
Yes.
And I had an experience that I got behind 3 months.
Okay.
And they started sending me letters, people coming on my property taking pictures. And I stopped the guy one day and I said, you got one more time to come on my property and take my picture of my house.
Right.
And I won't be responsible for what happens to you.
Right.
But then I called the mortgage company, and this is one thing he said. Tell them to present to you your original promissory note.
Okay.
if they can't present that, then they got nothing to say to you. And that's what I told them. And, I never had a problem with them after that. The only thing they'll say, well, we just want you to stay in your home. And that's what happened. I told them, if you can't give me my original promissory note, then stay off my property. I'll catch up when I catch up.
That's right.
And so it worked for me. I don't know how everybody else lost their home, but it did work for me. But I just love you, Collette, and I'm glad you let people come on and speak. We all can agree to disagree, but you learn a lot by listening.
Yes.
So you have a great day.
You too. Thank you so much. I mean, everyone, that's what it's about. And you know what? And she makes a great point because she took the ownership. She saw something happening. She knew something was going on. She didn't just wait and say, okay, I'm going to see what they're going to do. She walked out. She addressed the issue. She got in front of it. She picked up the phone because life happens. Money, I mean, come on, anything can happen at any time. But if you don't address it, you won't have the information so that you can change the course of what is happening to you. But we sit back and wait for people to do stuff to us, and then we want to fight. No, you got to be proactive. I appreciate the example. Like she said, ask them, what are you doing so I can get this information? Call your mortgage company. Okay, what's going on? Have the real conversations so that you can always be ahead of it. Don't keep doing the same thing over and expecting a different result. That's called insanity. It doesn't work for us that way. And if we can just sit and listen, I know a lot of times we are inundated with life. You're inundated with trying to live every day, trying to live versus survive. But there are people here who care about you, who want to be able to give you the resources, who want to have the real conversations that say, you know what, it's okay. Let's change the narrative. Because sometimes we get so mired in the negativity that we can't even see our way. We're in the shadows. We can't even see the light. But there's always light there. You got to know that. And there are people here who can help you dig out of those situations so that it can be better for you. And then sometimes you have to realize that even if you were in a situation with the housing, if you dropped the value in the housing and you just didn't see that there was a way out for that property, and say your house was worth $150,000, and then the house tutor down for you was now on sale for $7,000, and you know that you were paying $2,000 a month in your mortgage, did you ever think that she gave the example of a 3 months behind, if you're looking at 4 months and you had some savings, that you could have just bought the house 2 houses down for the 7 and just moved in there debt-free, mortgage-free? All you had were the taxes. Did you think about those things? But we get so attached to things that don't have value. And that's in every aspect. Don't attach yourself to things that don't have value, because it escalates. Sometimes you might have value here, sometimes it drops down here. It's like the stock market. But you got to know when to pull your hand out. You got to know when to sell. You got to know when to walk away. You got to know when to buy more. And realize that it's not an attack on you. If something happened and you lost your house, that doesn't say anything about you. It was a situation that you didn't understand. It was a situation that perhaps now you'll go and get the resources and have the real conversations. But you won't be discouraged from buying a home. You can still buy a home. But realize that there are people here that have resources for you. We're not perfect people. But we can make our situations better by having the real conversations and not having the defeatist attitudes. I appreciate you all. Let me take my last call for today. Great morning to you. Thanks for your patience.
Oh, great morning to you.
Thank you.
I am so glad that you mentioned that about the, the erroneous taxes that they imposed upon the people of Detroit, yes, which in turn caused thousands of people to lose their homes.
Yes.
They bank on us being ignorant. They know, well, what most people should have done was gone down and appealed their taxes.
Yes.
But they knew most people didn't have the wherewithal. They didn't have the knowledge.
Yes.
They didn't even know they could do such a thing.
Yes.
You know, it's terrible because this, in my opinion, this is one of the components of gentrification.
Yes.
They take advantage of people's ignorance
Yes.
and remove them from their land.
Yes.
So I just, what I really hate is that we have attorneys here. We have African-American attorneys here in the city of Detroit, and I'm sure we have real estate attorneys that would be, knowledgeable about this.
Yes.
And why didn't one or two of them gather the people and took a whole neighborhood down and had their properties reassessed? Understand what I'm saying?
Yes. And stay right there. And stay right there to your point. And stay there to your point. Why didn't we have our elected officials that we vote in understand that enough? And there's a research and development department that you say, well, wait a minute, this doesn't seem right for my constituents, and it has an impact on me. But because we, sadly enough, we don't look outside of our situation. Even if we've never experienced it, there are models to be able to say, guess what? What do you do? I need to pick up a phone. I need to have a conversation. I need to do some research and say that this can't be right.
Exactly.
Where are some other examples? But again, to your point, great point, because we want to hold people accountable for our lives when they don't even know what to do that's going to be better for us. Then we don't know what to make them do that's going to help us.
That's right. So, it's real sad. And my thing is, what are the people to do? Because in my opinion, the city or the state of Michigan, which I think it's the state of Michigan it falls on, there should be a class action lawsuit. You foreclosed on people illegally.
Yes.
Because that was illegal to tax their homes 50%, more than 50% of what the value was. That was illegal. It's been cited that's illegal. So people are out of their homes illegally.
Yes.
So what is their recourse? And I'll hang up and listen. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. You know what? That's a great point. And the sad part about it is the recourse is now that they're giving you the opportunity to buy your house back in the land bank. How's that? That's the recourse. Everyone, it is a system and it is a cycle. And until we take the ownership to listen to those who are giving bits of information and to be able to think and to hold people accountable. Why weren't those the conversations in our churches? Why weren't those the conversations in our community meetings? Why weren't those the conversations that we had that said, guess what? It has to be another way to do this. But maybe it goes to our point that that's just the surplus people and we need to move them out of the way anyway because we're looking for other opportunities to let other people come in. Remember, there's always a system and there's always a plan. You don't know their plan. You're just a pawn in it. It's like chess moves. So you're a pawn. You're not a king, a bishop, or you're not any of those power pusher moves. You're the pawn. So you can only move up one step at a time when they're moving 3 steps ahead. And we constantly look to people to save us who aren't even part of that plan. So they're just a little bit ahead of us. So we all should be walking together. But we follow people that are just right a little bit ahead of us, and we're convinced that they're the ones that can save us. We have to do something different if we expect a different result. I'm so thankful that the conversations that we have on this show, the time and talent that you give on this show and on these airwaves and on TV 33 allows us to make for something different. Thank you so much for your time this Friday. I pray that you are educated, enlightened, and empowered. I want to share with you some news. I'm going to be a Women's Day speaker. Can you believe that? Next Sunday, the 17th, I'm going to be speaking at New Destiny, the 10:30 service. I never thought that I would get that privilege. I'll share more about it with you next Thursday. Of course, extending the invitation for us to have the conversation face to face. It is the theme, Wisdom, Wise Women Builders. It's coming out of Proverbs 14th chapter, first verse. I asked Reverend Sheffield, are you sure you want me to have that conversation? And he laughed. So you can imagine what I'm waiting for, the direction of where we're going to go. But I appreciate your time, as always. Have an amazing rest of the day. Have a phenomenal weekend. I'll see you next week.